When you think about success, real wealth, what pops into your head? Is it, the fast-paced entrepreneur always on the phone closing deals?
Yeah, or the flashy stuff, right? The
Mhm.
sports cars, private jets, just constant nonstop excitement.
Exactly. We're sort of conditioned to think wealth looks like fireworks, this life of endless stimulation.
It's that whole hustle culture image, this
Yeah.
idea that if you're not chasing the next big thing or, riding the latest hype wave, you're falling behind.
Right. But that visual, it's more about grabbing attention, isn't it? Not really about building something that lasts.
Precisely. It's designed for engagement, not long-term value.
Okay, so the source material we're digging into today, it makes this really wild, counterintuitive claim.
Hmm.
It says that real, sustainable financial freedom, it's not built on thrills at all. In fact, the actual secret, the fundamental edge millionaires have, is something incredibly unglamorous.
Okay, I'm listening. What is it?
Boredom.
Boredom. Really? That sounds boring.
I know. But the argument is that the tolerance for monotony, that ability to just sit quietly and do the same productive thing day after day after day, that's the edge.
Uh-huh. An edge that, 99% of people just never develop?
Because we're all trained to want that next hit of excitement, that stimulation.
Interesting. So it completely flattened the script on discipline.
And that's exactly what we're doing in this deep dive. We're going to unpack why embracing those, frankly, dull, routine processes actually gives you this huge advantage.
Okay, so the mission is to really analyze this mindset, how boredom goes from being a drag to being like a superpower.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right, so first we got to look at the contrast, the myth versus the reality.
Yeah, the public expects the life of the wealthy to be, what? Endless parties, constant high-speed decisions, all that novelty.
That's the image, the myth.
But the truth, according to our sources anyway, is that wealth isn't built out there in the spotlight.
No, it's built in boring rooms behind closed doors.
Through routines so repetitive, apparently they'd make most people just quit.
Mm-hmm. That moment when the work stops feeling new and exciting and becomes comfortable, even tedious, that's where most people bail and look for the next shiny object.
So the repetition itself, that's the key.
That's what the source argues. It calls it the grind, the silence. Think about it, truly successful people, in finance or anywhere else.
Yeah.
They spend way less time chasing those quick dopamine hits and way more time on the quiet, foundational work, the stuff that's often, well, tedious.
So the point isn't just don't avoid boring work. It's more like actively choose it as a tool.
Exactly. It's not a weakness to tolerate boredom in this context. It's a strategic choice. It's what separates the builders from the consumers, in a way.
That's a really key distinction. We're not talking about, aimlessly scrolling your phone because you're bored.
No, definitely not unproductive boredom. This is productive boredom. It's that sustained focus on a long-term goal, even when there's absolutely no immediate reward or excitement coming from it.
Okay, that brings us to the how. Why does embracing this monotony actually lead to more success than constantly chasing the new, exciting thing? What's the mechanism?
Well, think about the average person's day. We're constantly bombarded, right?
Oh, yeah. Notifications, news alerts, the next trend.
Exactly. We're seeking input. And that craving for stimulation, it's almost addictive. It basically guarantees distraction.
And distraction kills deep work, kills focus.
Right. But the people who are quietly building wealth, stacking those wins, they're consciously choosing focus over distraction.
They see everyone else running around, chasing maybe the latest crypto fad or some hot new venture that might just fizzle out.
And meanwhile, the person just sticking to their maybe boring but proven plan, they win through sheer consistency.
So boredom acts like a training ground.
That's a great way to put it. The sources argue that millionaires aren't necessarily, inherently smarter. They're just more tolerant of monotony.
Yeah.
They can handle that delayed gratification better. They can sit with the discomfort of not having constant feedback or excitement.
Wow. That shifts things, doesn't it? The competitive edge isn't IQ points, it's endurance, mental stamina.
Yeah. Every time they choose the routine over the urge for something new, they're actually strengthening that discipline muscle, the same discipline that lets their investments grow steadily.
And they're probably avoiding decision fatigue too, right?
Big time. If you have a boring set routine for, say, your investing strategy, you're not burning mental energy every day wondering if you should jump on the latest hot stock tip.
You just stick to your process, which probably involves slower, deeper work, like actually reading those dense reports instead of just the headlines.
Exactly. Reading the boring stuff.
Okay, but here's a potential issue. We live in a world where Adaptability, being flexible is praised, right? High-speed changes happen.
Sure.
So how do we square this idea of sticking to monotonous work with needing to adapt? Doesn't embracing boredom risk making you too slow, too rigid?
That's a really important point. It needs some nuance. The source material isn't saying be ignorant of changes.
Okay.
It's advocating for independence from the noise and volatility of the market. The boring work, the deep analysis, the patient waiting it acts like ballast on a ship.
Ah, stability.
Right. It reduces speculative risk. The boring investor is less likely to panic sell during a dip or chase some unsustainable bubble just because it's exciting.
So they operate from a place of considered analysis, not just reacting to fear or hype.
Precisely. And because they're not constantly fighting that urge for the next dopamine hit from market swings, they actually have the mental bandwidth left over to recognize and adapt when a genuine fundamental shift occurs.
I see. So the routine provides the stability to adapt wisely rather than just reactively.
Exactly. The monotony is the anchor that lets them ride out the storms and adjust course calmly when needed.
Okay, so if monotony is the muscle we're building, what are the actual exercise? Let's get specific. What are these inherently dull activities the source points to, the ones needed for building wealth?
All right, let's list them. And yeah, they are pretty foundational and, frankly, not very exciting on the surface. These are the repetitive tasks that cut through the noise.
Okay, number one, investing is boring.
Oh, it absolutely is, when done right for the long term. People picture day trading, right? That constant action, immediate feedback, buzzing screen.
Yeah, the Hollywood version.
But real wealth-building investing is the total opposite. It's analyzing spreadsheets, reading those incredibly dense quarterly reports, setting clear rules for yourself, and then this is the hard part, doing nothing, not touching it.
Just letting it sit, and crucially resisting the urge to meddle when the market goes crazy.
Exactly. When everyone else is panicking about a downturn, the boring investor, they've done the homework. They trust their long-term analysis. They stick to the plan.
Choosing quiet confidence over reacting to the noisy headlines.
That mental endurance is the boring part. Choosing inaction when every fiber of your being might be screaming, do something.
Yeah.
Choosing the spreadsheet data over the sensational news alert.
Okay, number two, compounding is boring.
Oh, massively boring, visually speaking. Compounding is like the magic engine of wealth creation, but especially at the start. It's painfully slow.
You put some money in, maybe consistently, and for the first few years.
You look at the balance, and it feels like practically nothing is happening.
Yeah.
The growth seems tiny, almost insignificant.
Yeah, I can see how most people would quit there. They see those small returns and think, this isn't worth it, and they jump ship to something promising faster gains.
Which usually just means higher risk.
Right.
That initial period, that's the bottleneck. It takes serious patience, a real tolerance for that lack of immediate exciting feedback, just to let it sit there and do its thing.
The glamour only shows up years, maybe decades down the line.
But the hard work, the boredom, is baked into those early years of almost invisible progress.
Okay, and number three, this one feels broader than just finance. Practicing your craft until you're truly world-class is boring.
Absolutely. Applies everywhere. Entrepreneurship, science, art, sports. Think about the sheer repetition involved.
Like a top musician.
Yeah. You see the amazing performance, looks effortless, but you don't see the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of hours spent on like the same scales, the same finger exercises over and over and over.
Until it's just automatic, deeply ingrained.
Or think about a brilliant software developer. They're not spending all day dreaming up brand new architectures.
Probably not.
A lot of the time, they're debugging the same frustrating line of code for the 10th time, or meticulously reviewing security protocols, or making tiny incremental improvements. Necessary, but repetitive.
That repetition is the path to mastery. We see the shiny, exciting end result, but we miss the years of quiet, often boring practice that built the skill.
It's the daily grind that makes the final performance look like magic.
So you endure all this boredom, the investing, the compounding, the practice. What's the ultimate payoff?
Well, the synthesis from the source is pretty clear. On the other side of all that patience, all that monotony, is freedom.
Freedom. That sounds good.
But it's a freedom that only looks glamorous from the outside. The source says it's built on patience, not hype.
Built on the quiet confidence that the boring path was actually the right one all along.
Exactly.
That's really important for you listening right now to remember. When you see someone successful, enjoying the fruits of their labor, you're seeing the result of their endurance.
And it's easy to mistake that result for a life that was always thrilling, always high-stakes gambling.
But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was built on years of quiet, boring consistency.
Right. So the next time your own journey feels dull, maybe when you're sticking to your budget or practicing that skill or just watching your investments slowly tick up,
Yeah.
try to recognize that repetition, that silence, as the place where you are actually winning. That feeling of dullness might just be confirmation you're doing the essential long-term work.
The source puts it really well.
Yeah.
Everyone can work hard when it's new and exciting.
But champions keep working when it's old and dull. That's the differentiator.
That commitment, long after the novelty wears off and the quick wins dry up, that's the separation point, isn't it?
It really is. It's when you shift from needing external validation, needing that excitement, to finding the reward in the discipline itself.
And zooming out, like you said earlier, in today's world,
Yeah, the ability to just focus quietly, stick to a plan without needing constant stimulation. That's becoming incredibly rare. It's a huge asymmetry.
while everyone else is optimizing their life for entertainment, for distraction.
You're optimizing for actual growth, quietly, patiently.
So let's bring this home. The core message here is pretty stark. In a world that seems completely, utterly addicted to distraction,
Where every notification, every headline is screaming for your immediate attention.
boredom, or rather the tolerance for productive boredom, transforms from this thing we avoid into an absolutely essential discipline.
Yeah, connecting this to the bigger picture. That sustained, quiet focus, it's not a weakness at all. It's a critical competitive advantage. It really is your ticket to the kind of steady, sustainable success most people only dream about.
So here's the final thought for you to chew on. The next time you feel that resistance, that urge to complain that's something you need to do for your goals, balancing the budget, practicing that skill, waiting for investments is just too dull. Ask yourself, will you choose focus? Will you choose the quiet, maybe boring, work over the quick dopamine hit of distraction? Will you embrace that silence as the actual path to your freedom?
That choice right there, that's the difference between just getting by in the system and potentially mastering it.